and I'm going to take serious caution, but that has been a trend in the rural setting. Some of us, for me, I'm an early bird. I was in office by 6, actually 5:55, 5:55, and I always begin work at 6. But you find someone in the rural setting goes to office at 10. Those are almost 6 hours before. So there's that trend also. We are talking about educational rights. Can we address those? The issue is time is the master, not the guide. How can should we introduce payment by how much hours you have put in? Yes, that's the recommendation I'm making. Otherwise, this business of saying, no, I'm a civil servant, permanent and pensionable, let us have contracts. If you cannot perform, then get out. We have very many children who can perform, provided they are also tasks. We must perform our tasks on time. This business of saying my inspector has no transport, then you get out somebody who has transport comes in. I'm not saying you must buy one, but find ways of moving there. Am I communicating? We give you money for inspection. I'm the person who recommended that all DOs have a vehicle. At least we have a vehicle for each district. Can we use those vehicles for inspection, not for carrying charcoal? Kindly listen to me. I told you I'm the teacher. If you don't listen to me, then I stop. So, we have come up with the policies, and I want to thank Bamau who is here. We made sure that every district has a vehicle. Can we utilize those vehicles for the benefit of the schools? Instead of pointing fingers at us, we have also done our part. So, can we introduce, I was in America for some time, but they work in hours. And your maximum extra work is 8 hours. You come late, you lose your day. Can we introduce the same system? Number 2, there's no way child can go and leave a school and then crosses to another school. If we have a school in an area, why do you go to another sub-county for another school? Yet you have bypassed a school. Now that is issues to do with personality. Faith. Can we agree also on that area? If we have to have standard schools, let them be standard throughout the country. There's something that disheartens me. I was in Gulu last term. And when I was in a meeting with the DO and the Mr. George, the Vice Chancellor of Gulu University, do you know what happened? That meeting almost failed because all civil servants were carrying their children to Kampala. I asked them, they were from Gulu. We have no schools in Gulu. You see what? Stand there. You know what? So, if you give me that opportunity, I will stop carrying children from one district to another. Yes. That's when we shall improve the quality. I know Buyende. At least Buyende should not go beyond Busoga. Sub-region. Why do you cross up to Uganda? All our centers of excellence have gone bad. The Mwiris, they are no more. Just because of people. The other issue that we need to talk about is the old students. Can we help the old students appreciate and take over? Love their own schools and help the schools come back to their former glory? Because why am I talking about the old student? We are like mothers. I mean, the children of mothers. A child cannot forget the mother. Because it's the mother tongue. The language you speak is Budo. The language you speak is Chitovu, is Smak. Why? Because you are proud of that school. But today we have schools that like Chigezi College Butoberi. People even fear going there. and yet it was once a center of excellence. We have an old student here. Can you come over and I support you? Make sure you come and see me and we see how we improve our school. I've just mentioned one school, but they are a hell. Just go to Butaleja and see with the other school. What is it? Kachonga. Bukeni College Kachonga. Even if they sell you to go and teach there, you will not teach there. Why? Because the school has gone down the road. Why am I talking about old students and old? Because they have the passion. I hope I'm making some points. So if you are making resolutions, kindly let us look at that direction. For us, we are encouraging regional centers of excellence. We have, in this today's meeting, we called them another name. What name did we call them? In the project. My brother. I want to see whether, Simon, you are following. Eh? The smart centers. Hey. Can we support these schools, centers? We're even giving them computers. But all this is, we are going to waste money without a policy. We are going to stop children from crossing the River Nile, crossing River Katonga. Why do you cross all the way? Just because your father works in Kampala? Quality. And what is quality? Quality is made by you and me. So in conclusion, there are a number of issues that have been raised. The issue of Senate. My brother, come here. I want to kill you before I go. And you are, where is the other one? Is who? Diana? Dr.
University Council.
Come here. Come and I slaughter you. Kindly. You come here. Don't go very far. I want you to listen. I know you are members of Senate and Council of Makerere University. The policies I'm talking are very deadly. We want to make universal education compulsory. I hope you are aware. But university education, I have not mentioned anything. That's where we are coming. So, if you are crying of paying 500 and 800, you may end up paying the 6 millions. Because we want everybody at the bottom to have free education and compulsory. Anybody at the university level, that is food for thought. So, this business of saying, you see, they increase 15%, for me, I call a spade, but don't quote me. In conclusion, I want to recognize and thank you very much for inviting me. I want to thank everybody that organized this activity. What am I trying to say? My only concern is that these are very good engagements. And now that they're even bringing us on board, my problem was the timing, all the time of communication. Some of us are very busy people. Like now I have a meeting that is people are waiting for me. And I have to go. And I don't miss time. But I want to thank you for this opportunity, for bringing on board key stakeholders. Makerere, thank you very much for hosting. Thank you very much for being part of. You are not only hosting, but even you are part. Some of us give us opportunities. We talk to these students. The issue of somebody was raising of somebody of law schools, that is an area we are also contesting. The issue is the moment, actually our biggest concern, even we want even to remove the 2,000 children. Are they 2,000 or 4,000? We want to remove them. Yes. Because they are children of Mutekanga. The children who are needed cannot afford. That's what he's raising. Then why do you waste government money? Let us put the money and the emphasis at the lower level. Where we are saying in Iki there's no school, I put up a school. So that at least somebody comes up to O level. From A level is supported to go to TVET. If he's able, let him go to an A level on scholarship. Can we introduce scholarships in our schools? Can we encourage the old students and the managers of private public schools to put up scholarships? The way the Buganda government is doing? And the request from your boss is a directive. Hey, can we have a portion? That's why I want the old students to take over. Because they are old students. Let them offer. I have a school where my daughter is going, and there's a girl who cannot afford fees, but the children in that school collect money and pay for that child because he's a genius. We have children who are needy and who cannot afford. But how can we support them collectively? When I speak, I can speak until the cows come back. And yet I have another meeting. I want to speak all this for God and my country.
Thank you so much, Commissioner, Director Ruth and Arthur. You've been a great panel. The deaf students need you to comment on their issue.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I did not take a note. The deaf, actually those are the issues that we are talking about. The new project, Madam, my supervisor, we have a component of special needs children in the new project. We are putting up 116 schools in the areas where we don't have any secondary school. We are putting up schools for the special children, and this one per sub-region. And we hope, I don't know the statistics, but at least there's something. The only concern we have is that we don't have adequate statistics. For example, if you are deaf, how many? Because we don't want to put up a white elephant. We already have a problem with Mbale, School for the Deaf. I don't know if they are aware. And it's a very big concern to us. And there's fighting. You put up good facilities and people politicize and own and they do everything. Kindly, we are thinking about you. We even have a whole department in the Ministry of Special Children. And I'm part of that because I'm in charge of non-formal. And non-formal is children who cannot even go to school. Can we think about the informal schools? Can we think of children who cannot go to the normal schools, the UPE schools? That is for food for thought. In order to address the issue of inclusiveness, how do we bring everybody on board? So, my recommendations were, 1, a school feeding policy, so that children can eat at school. 2, an inclusive policy, so that all children can be catered for. We leave no child behind. And an ECD's policy, where year 3, 4, 5 are also catered for by government.
Thank you so much. I hand over to Arthur, who is the moderator of the session now. Can take us.
Can we give a louder hand clap to the panel? And Commissioner Mutekanga. Commissioner Mutekanga, you are released. Kindly go and attend to that other meeting. And ladies and gentlemen, one must appreciate all of you, each one of you, for the time well spent here. Allow me invite the convener that is going to lead us through the closing here. Angela, Dr. Diana, I don't know who it is. Rapporteur. Rapporteur, you have 1.5 minutes. We invite the rapporteur to give us a brief of what the day has been, especially issues arising, recommendations, before Professor Mbazira comes to close this on behalf of the conveners.
Thank you very much. All protocol observed. My name is Edwin Sabit. I've been informed that I have very few minutes, so I'll go straight to the point. Today's discussions have centered around issues to do with education, as the theme shows, in the context and as we recover from COVID-19. Now, from that, there have been issues that have been raised. One, the fact that COVID-19 affected this country very much, and especially the educational sector. We've heard from people that we've listened and had experiences of different individuals that dropped out of school because of pregnancies, that dropped out because of tuition, among other issues. But we've also been able to listen in to some of the concerns rotating around tuition, the issue of costs that have affected and continue to affect the accessibility to quality education in the country. We've also had issues to do with priority, and my role here today is to give you a summary of the recommendations that have been made from the different individuals that have spoken. Now, there were so many, but I have a few minutes. There were about 50, but what I'll do is I'm going to cluster them under different thematic areas that you'll be able to capture the essence of today's discussion. I do hope that the different stakeholders will be in position to take back these recommendations and implement them. But also, most importantly, this report will be made available of today's meeting, of today's conference, so as to probably continue the discussion and probably guide on the best practices that could be undertaken in this regard. So under the cluster that I've talked about, I've identified 10 recommendations. The first is that we need to have legal, policy, and budgetary reforms. These are very critical to address the concerns that have been raised. One, the issue of regulation has been very central to today's discussion. Now, it has been raised that there is need to regulate, and regulation that goes beyond mere circulars that are that the ministry is currently running under, but to ensure that there is actually legal reforms that ensure regulation of the charges that schools can charge from students. So there's been a recommendation of legally binding reforms. Second, it has been recommended that there is need to revise the procurement laws to ensure that these laws are sensitive to the context of schools, because you cannot subject these schools to the same procurement legal regime as you subject to other government entities. So it becomes very, very important that you have specific laws that govern that. Third, we need to ensure that we create equal opportunities for different individuals. Now, there have been so many recommendations in this regard. One, where some individuals say that what we should do is that we should give education that is equal to all individuals, at least to a certain level, after primary, up to the end of primary. While others have argued that we should continue, but there's been a discussion on ensuring that there is equal opportunities. But most importantly, there's been a question, a recommendation for equitable opportunities. This is different from equal opportunities. Why? Equitable is sensitive to the different vulnerabilities of different individuals. For example, you've listened in from people that are coming from fishing villages. It has been recommended that some of these individuals, due to their vulnerabilities, suffer more than other individuals. So the equal distribution of opportunities requires that we should ensure that these individuals that are more vulnerable get to enjoy more opportunities. And that is not only for fishing villages, but also for rural areas. Um, it has also been recommended that we should include sign language as an official language to complement other languages that are recognized in the country. That is also another recommendation. You'll pardon me, I have to rush through because I'm still under the first recommendation. There's also been a recommendation for civic education to sensitize parents about the role of education. But most importantly, to sensitize parents, especially those that have children with disabilities, that theirs is not a dead cause, but these individuals with disabilities can actually also are not disabled, but are differently abled. We also need a policy on reintegration of children that have been affected by COVID-19. For example, those that have been victims of child labor, but also those that got pregnant during the COVID lockdown. So there is a need for a specific integration policy to integrate these children back to school. There's also been a recommendation on revising the curriculum to ensure quality and relevant knowledge. It has also been recommended that the government should first make a policy providing free education, and then it can look for money later on. For as long as the policy is there, it can always find a way of looking for the money. Then it has also been suggested that schools should probably have powers to hire and fire teachers, because this will be able to ensure that these schools can exercise control. But I should quickly mention that it was also recommended in the last speech that that the government should probably adopt the contract basis form of arrangement with teachers instead of them being shielded or protected by the different laws that apply to public servants. I'll just go to the second recommendation because these are quite many, but like I said, a report will be shared that you can read. The second recommendation is leveraging technology. Now, it is important in this era to leverage technology, for example, e-libraries, to ensure the issue of access to material has been very significant in today's discussion. And that it has been recommended that we could probably try to harness the potential of technology, for example, e-libraries, but also the issue of absent teachers could be countered by having technology coming in to register the attendance of the different teachers. It could work, and LDC has actually successfully implemented this. I think that it could be a very breakthrough. The third recommendation is that we need a multi-sectoral approach and cooperation between government agencies, for example, the Ministry of Education, as well as the National Programming Planning Authority. It becomes very important that it is that the policies that are formed by the authority are informed by the different recommendations that have been raised by the ministry. But also there is need for the government to continue cooperating with NGOs, because we've seen, we've listened in to individuals that have said that NGOs actually play a big role in this country. The fourth recommendation is that we need to have a trade-off or a sort of compromise between access, quality, and costs, whereby we can agree on which one we should prioritize in this regard. The fifth recommendation is that schools should start having what we call social responsibility to ensure that they do not only provide education, but they are equally obligated to ensure that they help individuals that are in need. In addition, or more related to this, is that the old girls and old boys, or the alumni of the schools, should equally be responsible and try to provide scholarships to the individuals at those particular schools that may not be in position to meet the necessary expenses that are required. The sixth recommendation is that we need to address the issues that have been raised through the gendered perspective. Because if we do address the issues today without taking into account how gendered the issues could be, due to the different vulnerabilities that individuals belonging to a particular category have suffered, for example, women or girls, we miss addressing this issue comprehensively. So we need to have a gendered perspective to this discussion in the policy planning and implementation. The seventh recommendation is that we should prioritize in expenditure. We should ensure that we do not have political expenditure overriding service delivery, and try to deal with issues of duplicated agencies and offices that try to cut the budget space that is available to fund the education budget. The eighth recommendation is that we need infrastructures that address the different needs of different individuals, for example, the people with disabilities. The ninth and second last recommendation is that we need to have alternative sources of funding for schools such that they are not only reliant on one particular source, but should be able to find alternative means of funding, probably to cut down the expenses to cut down the money that the government is expected to spend. And lastly, and most importantly, is that we should ensure enforcement of policy, in that the biggest problem has been recognized to be policies that are very robust and very beautiful, but are not implemented. So with this, allow me to conclude. Thank you very much. Have a nice evening. I've been granted the distinguished honor to invite Mr. Mbazira, Professor Mbazira.
Thank you so much, Edwin, for that excellent summary. It's not easy to capture recommendations from conversations that was heated as they were, and that came through since morning. First of all, it's my pleasure to thank all of you. Thank you so much for being with us. I know there are so many colleagues here who organize conferences and workshops of this nature. By 2 p.m., the room is half full. By 4 p.m., 3/4 gone. And by the time you close, it's the conveners that are in the room. But this is different. I think we've lost than 15%. It could even be less than 10%. It's unprecedented. So you are actually right to clap for yourselves. So as conveners, we're excited. We were apprehensive when we started organizing this conference because so many things changed in terms of the format. The venue is much smaller. The invitations were not as public as it was before. We really selected the participants. We were not so sure the participants from upcountry would be here in time, because we know some of our colleagues from upcountry, this is planting season. So we know you've sacrificed a lot. We know it is time to back kids to school. So there is quite a lot of sacrifice. And the fact that you are here is actually evidence that you are emotionally attached to the subject that we are discussing, education, because it affects us all. Not only as people, some of us are going through the system, some of us are educators, some of you, if not all of us here, maybe not all. Many of you here, as I can see, are parents, I presume. So these are things that concern us. Now, in terms of the format of this conference, usually issues are raised regarding the value of conferences, whether it is actually value for money. Because so many conferences are held. I'm sure today there are so many conferences. If you went to places like Africana, you'll find maybe 10 or 15 conferences going on, and other places as well. But the question is always, what's the value? Is there a value for money? What happens after the conference? Do we end at this and, we go back home and there's nothing that happens? the format of this conference is different. The practice here is that we actually pick up the recommendations. That's once the report is ready, have several debrief meetings, pick out the key recommendations, identify the actors or the responsible stakeholders as far as implementation of those recommendations is concerned. We not only send them the recommendations, but we also follow up and have follow-up meetings with them to see how best those recommendations, and not in a confrontational manner, but we engage them in a dialogue and see how we can support. And it's as a result of that we've been able to achieve some tangible outcomes out of this conference. So your proposals, your sacrifice for the day-to-day is not going to go in vain. We promise you, we commit, we shall follow this up and ensure that the key recommendations are implemented, or at least brought the attention of the stakeholders and supported those stakeholders. And indeed, the timing is ripe because the National Planning Authority has already started and rolled out a roadmap for the development of the National Development Plan 4. So there's a lot of room. And to our advantage is that I've interfaced with the National Planning Authority. It's so receptive and open to engaging with the stakeholders that have proposals and views to improve the plan. So we are going to engage the National Planning Authority. We are going to engage other stakeholders to see to it that the recommendations are implemented. We may engage some of you, because sometimes also what happens from these conferences is that it's where we pick not only the theme for the next conference, but we also pick issues that we can take up and conceptualize projects and implement those projects. So thank you so much. Special appreciation to our moderator, Arthur, CEO, Network of Public Interest Lawyers. I used to be the boss there. Arthur took my position there, pushed me out. But I hope, Arthur, from these conversations again, as NETP, we should also think of what can we take on as a matter of litigation. Your members are here, Eria is here, and others that are so passionate in the network. The issue of the discrimination between schools, for instance, in funding, those that are government aided, those that are not, who should benefit more, those are issues that can be the subject of litigation. So colleagues, thank you so much. I'll leave it at that. The colleagues who worked so hard on this, I can't mention everybody by name. Unfortunately, this time I worked in the background mainly because I'm on sabbatical leave, but colleagues worked so hard to ensure that we are here today. For the colleagues going back up country, we pray that you travel safe, have a safe journey. Thank you so much for God and my country. The conference is now closed. Arthur, you can't say anything. The conference is closed. Yeah.
And congratulations to Isa Pilak School of Law, UCA and NETPIL upon the 10th. See you at the 11th conference, if Jesus tallies.